Hello, good evening, and welcome to Camnet Television News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo to present. Our top stories in the news: lack of money in circulation threatens livelihoods for MTENDERE market traders. Police on a hunt for a sodomizer in SINAZONGWE district. Presidential political advisor discourages the use of the church pulpit to settle political scores. In international news, Malawians fear cholera outbreak will spiral due to cyclone Freddy. And in sports news, BUKAYO SAKA scores twice as Ghana's extend lead to 8 points over Man City.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Hello again, another news in detail. Business owners in Lusaka's MTENDERE compound have complained that their businesses are almost closing because no one is buying from them due to economic challenges. Speaking to Camnet News, the traders state that the situation has further been worsened by the influx of immigrants whom they say are engaging in retail business without working permits, hence enhancing competition. One of the affected, Victor Mubanga, a carpenter selling sofas, states that he has not been able to sell any sofa set in 5 months, as the prevailing economic situation in the country makes it difficult for business to thrive, noting that one United States dollar is past the 20 kwacha mark. More in this report.
An approximate 70% of Zambia's working population is employed by the informal sector, either through self-employment or working for an employer, according to statistics from the International Labour Organization. It is for this reason that the state of the business environment in Zambia has a direct impact on the majority of citizens, as this is their source of income. Traders in Lusaka's MTENDERE compound, however, state that the business has come to a standstill due to prevailing economic hardships in the country, stating that only few are willing to buy their goods. They were speaking to Camnet News Sunday morning.
No matter what I'm going to coin, I don't want a free education, no more extension uniform. We don't have free education, if people don't have free education, because if you don't have a man, Tabari Chilichonse Chilipu, you know. Business pako to shompando to stiche pompando nida mo October last year October panon 5 months numba maremtos tukala dipirenshi fionze evento watch sanombe evento na fikosa bezo ikamba tuzamba upaso achitechi maroni na manje manoni sio aoneka CDF tungopoja botu kwa CDF na manje CDF wapena inaenda kuti kapeno pasa vandani kapeno pasa na usiku sitizira watungopoja botu kwa CDF kumba ino siku tingaitani tingala vantu ofutika maningi tufana kutandizika ifite vantu nomba sitandizika angatatandizwa vambiro kondava angatizima msiku yasabetiza kuti tandizika umba manje wembekete mitinacho tikagula tomato tose tuonongeka tukule onion yonse onongeka fili fonse yabe onongetunga kutai. So business yatifuta maningi mandini buribe bozo drama mwibe mzigo. Stuza jameti chita zaso kutuka skizi.
Others have urged the Zambia Department of Immigration to heighten inspections, stating that illegal immigrants are now in stiff competition with citizens in various businesses.
then uzapeza tikambiri zati muzindisa tona ndiramo zambiri kuchiraisa vemva zapeza kati vaokwanisa kuoda ngwazawaletera oda but vakusiya kunoshoma ise mafole mazambians peza kati wakangwa kuoda but mafole anazipeza kuti vaoda oda but vaoda bwanji ero okay munga like me I'm a believer nizo kukosa kwa vindu sometimes just time is just season but kai konga na government yatu not a promise kuti wewe wakangena mche vindu bizachinja so vantu wanashita focus pa ya meja mao yao but of which vankadatu wesi than before. So still is a very critical. So we just continue praying to God is the one that can help us.
They further state that there is need to lower the exchange rate of the United States dollar to the Zambian kwacha, which is now trading at 20 kwacha 24 ngwe, to see to it that the economy is opened up. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Police in SINAZONGWE district of Southern Province are looking for a male suspect only identified as Cholera of SAKA village for allegedly sodomizing a 3-year-old boy. Police Assistant Public Relations Officer Godfrey Chilabi says the suspect had carnal knowledge of the 3-year-old on the 16th of March 2023 and is currently on the run. Brief facts of the matter are that the victim was sleeping alone in the house while his auntie, aged 29, was visiting in the neighborhood. Mr. Chilabi says when the said woman returned to her house around 21 hours, she found the suspect having carnal knowledge of the child and that the suspect ran away immediately and a search by community members was launched. Police have since appealed to members of the public, especially in SINAZONGWE and surrounding areas, who may have information on the whereabouts of the suspect to report him to any nearest police station.
Police in SINAZONGWE district of Southern Province are looking for a male suspect only identified as Cholera, aged between 25 and 35 of SAKA village for allegedly sodomizing a 3-year-old boy. The incident occurred on March 16, 2023 around 21 hours in SINAZONGWE district. Brief facts of the matter are that the victim was sleeping alone in the house while his auntie, aged 29, was visiting in the neighborhood. When she went back home around 21 hours, she found the suspect having carnal knowledge of a child against the order of nature and immediately alerted police, who followed up the matter. When they reached the scene, the suspect had already left. The child was rushed to Mamba District Hospital where he received treatment. Police have since launched a manhunt for the suspect, who is not in any way related to the complainant's family. We appeal to members of the public who may have information on the whereabouts of the suspect to report to any nearest police station.
The opposition Citizens First Party has predicted that the United Party for National Development, UPND, will not fulfill its campaign promises to the Zambian people by 2026. Speaking to Camnet News, CF Party President Harry Kalaba says the ever-rising cost of living, as evidenced by findings from the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, JCDR, attest to the fact that the cost of living escalated by over 200 kwacha in February 2023 in comparison to the previous month of January. He notes that no indicators point to the country's social and economic challenges being solved anytime soon, and that life is still hard for the average Zambian despite the current administration rising to power on the promise of lowering the cost of living. More in this report.
The United Party for National Development, UPND's 2021 to 2026 manifesto is summed up in 12 points, among which is the creation of quality jobs, particularly for the youth, the eradication of poverty and inequalities, as well as the transformation and diversification of the economy in order to meet the aspirations of the Zambian people. While the UPND, which is now in office, has been applauded by some stakeholders in areas like the fight against corruption for showing commitment to end this scourge, others have expressed concern on the overall party's manifesto and its attainability before the end of its 5-year mandate in 2026. This is because despite the provision of cooperative funding under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, youth have been demanding for employment creation away from CDF can benefit from this initiative. Weighing in on the UPND's manifesto and its attainability by the year 2026, Citizens First Party President Harry Kalaba is of the view that the UPND's campaign promises will not be attained.
I think you all know that the UPND is not taking us anywhere. The UPND as a party does not know whether they are coming or they are going. And so to even begin thinking that the UPND is going to do anything is a wastage of time. There is no way he's taking our country. He is a corporate president. He has given tax holidays to the people that sponsored him to be in power. And so he's not helping Zambians, but helping himself and those who sponsored him to be in power. And the Zambians will continue languishing, as is being reflected by the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection. Really, the cost of living will continue escalating, because the president is not there to deal with these matters.
Mr. Kalaba has also called for the investor of Mopani copper mines on the copper belt to be named, stating that Zambians are interested in knowing who will be managing the mine.
We are all hoping he was going to tell us the ones who are taking over KCM. He's not saying all these things. So he's basically going there for show, going there to show that he's president of Zambia. He has arrived, he has reached, and that is not helping us in any way. Nothing at all.
The Citizens First Party president knows that Zambians voted to see change and will not accept otherwise. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Leader of Opposition, Honorable Brian Mundubile, has encouraged the church to continue speaking against the ills in society, such as early marriages, gender-based violence, crime, and homosexuality. Speaking at the induction service for Reverend Lubinda Manyando at the United Church of Zambia, St. Mark's in Lusaka Sunday, Mr. Mundubile says the church must be the loudest voice on such matters that border on the morals of the people. The leader of the opposition says he has so much great respect for the clergy because they play a key role in the reconciliation of the nation. He said it is important that the clergy endeavor to bring people together through the preaching of the Word of God.
Political leaders, we look up to the church for spiritual and moral guidance. We have so much great respect for the clergy because they are reconciliators of the nation. I therefore urge Reverend Manyando and all other clergy present to remain as such. When we go wrong, call and guide us, because we are your children. Regardless of what title we may be called by, we remain your children. Bishop, Siame, and War Reverend Manyando, Luvana, Vanina. Please, we are your children. It is important that you as the clergy endeavor to bring people together through the preaching of the Word of God. I wish to encourage Reverend Manyando to relate and interact well with other clergy in the nation.
Special Assistant to the President for Politics, Levi Ngoma, has advised the church not to use the pulpit to divide the country, but instead use it to unite and send messages of love. Speaking at Gilgo Mission Center in Lusaka Sunday, Mr. Ngoma says the church is a very important unit of development in the nation and should not be used for political expediency. Mr. Ngoma also says the full wrath of the law will be applied to all those who took part in a march that promised homosexuality, adding that such vices have no place in a Christian nation such as Zambia. Meanwhile, Gilgo Mission Center presiding Bishop Justin Chama has called on the nation to take time to know their leader if they are to tap into the development that the leaders want to deliver for the country. More in this report.
The birth of a movement called Christians for Lungu prior to the 2021 general elections saw the church divided, as those who supported the former administration were of a view that the now President Hakainde Hichilema was a bad leader who would divide the country if elected into office. But Special Assistant to President Hakainde Hichilema for Politics, Levin Ngoma, on Sunday, 19th March 2023, congregated at Gilgal Mission Center in Lusaka's Charleston area, says never again should the church be divided and does encourage the church to not use the pulpit to divide the country, but instead use it to unite the country and preach messages of love.
We stand today in Zambia. I can proudly and boldly say there are no Christians for HH. Even when we come to church, like we have come here today, Bishop, brothers and sisters, we are very careful. When a pulpit has been given like it has, you've given it to us today, you've given it to me today, never should we use the pulpit to settle political scores. The pulpit, where I'm standing here, is for preaching peace. The pulpit where I'm standing here today is for extending love to others.
And Mr. Ngoma has also reaffirmed government's position on homosexuality and says all those who were involved in a march to promote the vice will face the full wrath of the law.
Those friends took a march along greatest roads, shouting in a way that we've never seen in this country. That type of gathering has gotten no support from the government whatsoever. It is for that reason that those perpetrators who duped the police into giving them a permit will face the full wrath of the law.
And Gilgal Mission Center Presiding Bishop Justin Chama has spoken to the need for people to get to know their leaders before criticizing them, adding that this will allow for people to tap into the developmental agenda, linking his message to Matthew 16, verses 13 to 18.
As a church, we stand ready to give counsel where we can. We stand ready to rebuke where we can, privately, to give counsel with due respect to the leadership that God has given us. And like I said in my preaching, let's be able to give respect to our nation's leaders, those that are in governance today, and even those that are aspiring to govern this nation. Let's give them the respect that they deserve, because that's what brings success in one's life.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A Copperbelt-based non-governmental organization focusing on development says the recent visit by President Hakainde Hichilema to the Copperbelt province is a demonstration of the president's will to alleviate poverty levels on the Copperbelt province and also to get first-hand information on the state of the mining sector. Speaking to Camnet News, Governance and Development Advocates GDA Executive Director Elias Mulenga says the mining sector is one area that has remained controversial in Zambia, as youths have been looking to this area as one way of ending their problems, among which is unemployment. Mr. Mulenga, however, notes that the visit by the president resulted in the opening of Mimbula mine in Chingola, adding that the president also addressed the concerns of Lufwanyama mine as well as the concerns of sawmillers on the Copperbelt.
This gave him an opportunity to see the hardships or the economic hardships that people are going through. And I'm happy to notice that Mimbula mine in Chingola was opened during his visit to Copperbelt. We saw him engaging with the chiefs, the clergy, the grassroots, and also the challenges that were facing the sawmillers on the Copperbelt. This shows that President Hakainde Hichilema is committed to his mandate to develop Zambia. He is not a regional president. He is a Republican president. His long stay on the Copperbelt showed how committed he is. And it is time that I would call upon controlling officers to ensure that all the issues that the president addressed, the president tackled, are addressed timely, so that the efforts of the president to develop the nation are not frustrated.
Operation Young Vote Executive Director Ges Nyirenda has urged civil society organizations advocating for good governance not to relent on their advocacy for the holding of a referendum aimed at amending Part 3 of the Constitution to ensure that the Bill of Rights is enshrined. In an interview, Mr. Nyirenda notes that Part 3 of the current Constitution, which speaks to the Bill of Rights, mainly promotes civic and political rights, negating third-generational rights such as those which border on access to food, water, and shelter for citizens. The OIV Executive Director notes that enhancing the Bill of Rights will also mean that any government of the day can be held accountable for not ensuring that citizens have access to basic needs, as they will be clearly stipulated in the Constitution.
Why are we saying or emphasizing that the Bill of Rights should be enhanced? Remember that the current Part 3 of the Constitution, which speaks to the Bill of Rights, it basically, promulgates and promotes and espouses the civic and political rights. But what we need in this country now is our rights to be enhanced. We need the third generational rights, the right to water, clean drinking water, the right to food, and the right to all these things that we need as humans to fully, live and live alive, as it were, because we don't want to live in a dead form. We want to live fully and fully so. So it is only when we have these particular rights in the Bill of Rights, the third generational rights, that then we will see and appreciate the need that we are fully alive, and government must be taken to task. Of course, any other government, if we had these third generational rights in our constitution, then every government must be taken to task and must be answerable to why they are not ensuring that these rights are promoted for the citizens. But today, because of just the civic and political rights, which actually are in support or favor the politicians, they don't care about the other rights of the other citizens and human beings.
This is Camnet Television Main News. We'll take our break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes, and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impassioned news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The Zambia Cooperative Federation, ZCF, has advised the Zambian government to change its strategy in administering the Constituency Development Fund to cooperatives if the resources are to serve their intended purpose. In an interview with Camnet News, ZCF Managing Director James Chidwa says most of the cooperatives receiving resources do not have the capacity to handle the resources, which in some cases is resulting in resources being wasted. Mr. Chiro says that government needs to instead do is identify cooperatives that are already functional using their own resources and support them with additional resources to boost their businesses. Meanwhile, SEED managing partner Simeon Kampata says there is need for the government to build capacity in the cooperatives before issuing them with resources. More in this report.
The will by the current United Party for National Development UPND-led administration to revamp the cooperative model has seen them introduce a fund under the Constituency Development Funds to support cooperatives, a move that was once initiated during the time Dr. Kenneth Kaunda was president to create employment for the local people and to develop the country. The Zambia Cooperative Federation is, however, of a view that the current manner in which the empowerment funds for cooperatives is being dispersed may sink government resources and need to be relooked into. Cooperative Federation Managing Director James Chira says what the government instead needs to do is to support cooperatives that are already functional, as this will allow for the resources to be well managed, as opposed to financing cooperatives that have only been formed for the sole purpose of receiving financing.
What we need to do is how do we get it right, because otherwise we are going to be repeating what happened in 1969, where 65, where 54 million pounds was lost. So what we need to do is government and ourselves should continue talking, and the talk should surround the development of sustainable cooperatives. And we have to follow what the law says on the registration of cooperatives. Once we do things correctly, we shall not regret the results of that development.
Meanwhile, SEED Multipurpose Cooperative representative Simeon Kampata says currently there is no clear record indicating how many cooperatives have been funded under CDF and how many are still operational after receiving the financing, thereby calling for the establishment of a cooperative development agency.
Core of a cooperative development agency, I think, is very clear. Why are we calling for this? Because we know that it will be very easy now to know the amount of support that is coming to these cooperatives. Support is at different variants. There's the support in terms of resources, in terms of money, the support in terms of capacity building. So how can we be able to measure the impact of the cooperative movement right now in Zambia? It's a bit difficult for us to be able to do that, because cooperatives are operating in a way that...
2 people have been crushed to death today by elephants in Kanchele area of Chief Sipatunyan Chiefdom in Kalomo District. The Kalomo District Administration, the police and the National Parks and Wildlife Authorities confirmed having received the report on the death of the 2 people today. Headman Kanchele, Silas Kalenga, says told Zanis that Ruth Singua, 77, of the same village, and Visco Mushutila, 42, have been killed by a herd of marauding elephants that has been in the district for close to 3 months now. The Jumbos have been in the area since January, despite several efforts by the Department of National Parks and Wildlife trying to scare them away. Headman Kanchele further said the old woman met her fate around 07 hours today when she was harvesting groundnuts in her field, while Mushutila was attacked by the elephants when he followed them in Chawila area after they killed Ruth Singua. By press time, the bodies of the deceased were still in Kanchele village, while a team of security officers had been sent to the area to pick them up and comb the area. He explained that people in Sipatunyana and surrounding villages are living in fear because of the presence of the elephants. This is Camnet Television News. We take our second and final break. Join us for international sports news after the break.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. And now in international news, Cyclone Freddie has moved on from Malawi, but it has left behind a trail of destruction and the risk of an unprecedented cholera outbreak. It is usually spread through contaminated water, and left untreated, it can be fatal within hours, even in previously healthy people. Poor sanitation, made worse by lack of running water and adequate toilets in evacuation camps, is exposing survivors to this and other waterborne diseases. She is currently living in crowded conditions at the Chambo Evacuation Center in the Zomba district, northeast of Malawi's commercial capital, Blantyre. While Malawi was already facing its worst cholera outbreak on record before Cyclone Freddie, it is not the only health concern the region now faces as a result of poor sanitation and contaminated water. Here's a roundup of international news for more.
Cyclone Freddie has left Malawi, but with water supplies and healthcare disrupted, the big fear now is a new outbreak of cholera, a bacterial disease that is usually spread through contaminated water. Left untreated, it can be fatal within hours, even in previously healthy people. We draw water from the nearby river, which lies below a graveyard. In the same area are pit latrines. With the rains, they are filled with water, and all that stuff is being swept into the river, posing a risk of cholera. The children face a similar risk because they drink the same water. But that's not the only health concern at the Chambo Evacuation Center. While Malawi was already facing its worst cholera outbreak on record before Cyclone Freddie, poor sanitation and contaminated water has raised fears about other diseases.
And to make even things worse, at this Chambo we've reported today cases of scabies. So you understand how scabies can spread in a place like this, and how sanitation plays that low in places like this. So we are appealing for any support that anyone can have.
We need insecticide-treated bed nets. Without them, we'll be infected with malaria. And with hospitals overwhelmed by the influx of casualties coming from different areas, the already stretched healthcare services are struggling to cope.
We also have issues like there are some people that have been displaced that have these non-communicable diseases like asthma. You talk of epilepsy, we have those, and we also have those that are on ART. So the health issues in the communities, they are just so huge that they need our intervention from the health sector of the district council.
An estimated 183,000 people fled their homes due to the storm and flood damage. Many have been left without access to healthcare, clean water, food and a feeling of security. Tunisian President Kais Saied at the presidential palace in Carthage. He was overseeing the swearing-in of his close associate, Tunis prefect Kamel Feki, as the country's new interior minister. A law graduate and former executive of the finance ministry, Feki is one of the president's staunchest supporters. I swear by Almighty God to do everything in my power with sincerity and dedication to fulfill the sacred patriotic duty, to take care of my responsibilities with the sole aim of the supreme interest of my country through the respect of the country's constitution and its laws. He replaces the influential Taufik Shafeddin, who resigned on Friday, saying he wanted to spend more time with his family. Once seen as Saeed's closest aide and defender of the president's 2021 power grab, Shafeddin has not been seen in public much in recent months. Counting is underway in Nigeria after millions of people went to the polls on Saturday in a delayed vote for new state governors. The election in 28 of Nigeria's 36 states comes amid heightened tensions following last month's disputed presidential poll. Opposition parties continue to reject the victory of President-elect Bola Tinubu of the ruling All Progressives Congress Party. The vote for governors was postponed in a few locations, including Lagos town, over fears of attacks on electoral officials. And there have been reports of scattered violence and voter intimidation in some cities across the country.
It's now time for sports news. In sports news, Arsenal moved 8 points clear at the top of the Premier League with a comfortable 4-1 victory over managerless Crystal Palace. With Manchester City in FA Cup action on Saturday, the Gunners capitalised on the chance to extend their lead against the Palace side led by interim boss Paddy McCarthy after Patrick Vieira was sacked on Friday. Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka and Granit Xhaka scored to wrap up the points, but Palace winless in their last 13 matches across all competitions, scored their first goal in 5 games when Jeffrey Schlapp turned in from close range at a corner. In Camnet television news, we'll take a look at the headlines once again. Lack of money in circulation threatens livelihoods for MTENDERE market traders. Police on a hunt for a sodomizer in SINAZONGWE district. Presidential political advisor discourages the use of the church pulpit to settle political scores. In international news, BUKAYO SAKA Malawians fear cholera outbreak will spiral due to Cyclone FREDDY. And in sports news, BUKAYO SAKA scores twice as Gunners extend lead to 8 points over Man City. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from 1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 16. Beyond all question, the mystery of godliness is great. He appeared in a body, was vindicated by the Spirit, was seen by angels, and preached among the nations, was believed on in the world, and was taken up in glory. Again, thank you so much for watching our news. Good night. Bye-bye.